Welcome to Invisible No More's new home. And for those of you that aren't knowing that this is our new home, it is. Either way, welcome to Invisible No More, now part of the Eclipse Pain and Recovery Network. I am Keith Johnson. I am your host for Invisible No More. And man, we've got a lot of great things coming up in these lives that are just full of chock full of information. If you really want to try to have a better quality of life, you could not have found a better place if you're an invisible person, if you're a part of the invisible community. But before we get into defining invisible, let me I guess I should introduce myself to those of you that may not know who I am. My name is Keith Johnson. Obviously, I'm your host. No, I don't have a doctorate. I don't have a degree in medical fields. I don't have a certificate or a registration. I do have a license, though, and that was given to me by the state of Texas to drive a car. I know, shocking. But what I do have is a whole lot of lived experience as an invisible patient, whether it's chronic pain or mental health. Chances are I have walked down some of the same paths as you, and that's what I'm here for tonight. I'm here to represent the patients. I'm here to be you. So what is Invisible No More? Simply put, Invisible No More is a collection of people with chronic illnesses, mental health struggles, chronic pain. All of us are defined and tied together by one simple thing. Our diagnosis is invisible. So say we're at the grocery store and we're walking down the aisles and our neighbor sees us, right? They see us and they see us being normal. We don't have the benefit of the doubt to have an extra hand growing out of our forehead to have them come up to us and say, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Because our diagnoses are invisible. There's no outward sign typically that shows the struggles that are going on inside, whether if you have POTS and your heart rate starting to spike, or you have EDS, or you have chronic pain and it hurts to take every single step, or God forbid you're battling some major depression and nobody can see it. Without that outward sign, y'all, we're invisible, and that's the problem. I can guarantee one thing. Regardless, across the board, when it comes to Invisible No More, whether you're dealing with chronic illness or chronic pain or mental health struggles, you found a home. I can promise you, everything we do is seen through the lens of the following. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved, and I promise you, no matter how it feels, you are not alone. I promise you. See, it's based on shared struggles. Diagnoses in our community don't really matter. I mean, they matter to us. They mean the world to us in a lot of situations. But in the overall picture in the invisible community, they don't. Because we share the same battles. We fight with doctors. We fight with insurance companies. We fight with hospitals. We fight with society in general for them to see us and to see what's going on. Even worse is when we fight with our friends or our family or our partner or our spouse, because even those that are the very, very closest to us have a really hard time seeing what's involved with our diagnosis, with our chronic illness, our chronic pain, our mental health. I had a lady tell me with her POTS that she has to take these ice cold showers, and that her husband came in and just stared at her one day and just shook his head because he didn't get it. She's taking that shower to try to regulate herself and get her body under control. How heartbreaking is that when our spouses or our partners can't even see what's going on? Invisible No More is a safe place to share these experiences, because you're not alone. Whether it's our circle of friends shrinking, or whether it's our partner or our children not understanding, we get it. I may not have walked in your exact footsteps, but I walked side by side. I mean, if it wasn't me that walked it, Mark walked it, or Jennifer walked it, or Kate, or Amy, somebody has walked alongside. And when you share that pain, when you share that story, they're going to understand. And they're going to be beside you, helping lifting you up and letting you know everything's going to be okay. It is really heartbreaking, though, when our family members don't see it. So what's the invisible mission in life? To share our stories and experiences, just like I said, even good, bad, ugly. The wins, the losses. because your shared story, your lived experience matters. Obviously, it matters to you. You're the one that had to go through it. But if you can share your story of how you overcame something, somebody else may pick up on that because they haven't tried that yet. Can you imagine you sharing that story and then somebody across the country hearing what you did and then saying, like, a light bulb going off in their head, like, hey, I haven't thought about that yet. And then they tried and they get a victory on top of it. It works the same when we have ugly stories too. When a treatment went horribly wrong, we need to share those as well, because everybody needs to be able to hear good, bad, ugly, so we can make more, I can't say more better because that's terrible English, make better choices when we're going forward making decisions about our own health care, right? The focus of Invisible No More when we share these stories is to end up with a better quality of life. I can't promise you that the longer you're a part of Invisible that you'll get cured. God, I wish I could. Have we seen it? In some ways, yes. But unfortunately, that is the rarity. That's the oddity, and that's not the norm. Typically, what we see is small changes, baby step changes, changes that we can start making every day. And then those changes compound, they multiply over time to where that quality of life starts to slowly get a little bit better. Big jumps are great. Big victories. Oh man, if you message me and you tell me that if you found your unicorn doctor, nobody, well, maybe you will be excited as much as I will be, because I want you to have a better life, right? And these big jumps are important. They're important to have, and they're important to share, and everybody wants them. But I'm telling you, it's the daily improvements that happen over time. Those are the ones that are a lot more frequent. And when they add up, things do start to look a little bit better. And sometimes that quality of life does start to improve. I promise you that. So to kind of wrap up, what is invisible? Well, like I said, I promise you, from here to eternity, you'll be seen, you'll be heard, you'll be loved. You will never, ever have to live alone ever again. Also, as the name implies, invisible no more. We can't live invisible anymore. It's time to share our stories and get out who we are and what we are dealing with, what is inside of us that's holding us back. We have to share our experiences so our spouses, our family members, our kids, society, the world knows that while we look normal, no, man, we got some hellacious fights going on inside. We've been quiet for so long. It's like we're surviving off the scraps that society gives us. I don't want to survive off scraps anymore. Me speaking out, you speaking out, it may not change the world. It may not change anybody. But being quiet, guess what? It hasn't changed anything either, has it? I don't think it has. So be vocal, get it out. Let people know you're here. Let them know what's going on. Share your story so everybody can eventually, hopefully, be a little bit better and get that in quality of life. Now, we're part of Invisible. We've been on TikTok on lives on Thursday nights for over 2 years, and we're taking a gamble. If you don't try, you never know, right? By leaving TikTok on Thursday nights and coming over to YouTube to be part of the Eclipse Pain and Recovery Network. Why are we doing that? Because it's a beautiful chance. It is an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity for doctors and specialists and patients to have conversations, to learn about each other, to learn why, as a patient, I react when a doctor says this. The doctor can be like, well, that makes sense now. For me as a patient to understand why a doctor has to make a decision that they've made. I may not agree with that decision. I may be crying on the inside when I hear that decision, but at least I have a better understanding of why. Right or wrong, at least I have a better understanding. Or when my PT guy says, you need to do this, or did you really do your reps at home? I understand why he's asking me these questions. We have to learn from each other so we can better understand each other, because we want to be better, right? And we can't be adversarial anymore, y'all. We can't be coming into a doctor's office and being, "Rah, I don't like you, but you better be nice to me." We can't do that. We have to understand where each side is coming from so we can find that common ground so we can be better. So we can see tomorrow as a little bit better than today. You're going to hear a lot of this word is going to come up a ton in the next 12 weeks, whether it's from me, whether it's from Katie or from Jose or from Dr. Leek himself. Individualized care. See, if there's a thesis or if there's a main umbrella idea to this whole network that we're trying to prove, is that individualized care equals better quality of life. We firmly believe that. Dr. Leek believes that, Jose believes that, Katie believes that, and me as the patient, me as you, every fiber of my soul, I believe that. So over these next weeks, we're going to be talking about different ways that we can hopefully get to that point in our own care team where we can get better care, where we can develop that individualized care. It's going to be 12 weeks of trying to trying to scream from the rooftop, "Have you tried this yet? Really, this is really cool. Have you tried this?" Or "This is why this happens." Or, if you make this small, Keith, if you would eat one more piece of broccoli a month, you would be amazed. If you dropped one frozen burrito and replaced it with a piece of frozen broccoli or a piece of fresh broccoli, you'd be amazed how much your life would be better. And I would go with withdrawals because I have to have my frozen burritos. Just a long inside joke there. Sorry. Some people will get that. So what's my role on all of this? My role is to be the bridge between Dr. Leek, Jose, and Katie. I love them. I admire them. They know their stuff, right? But sometimes it can get scientific. Sometimes it can get, for me, and what my therapist says, my undiagnosed ADHD, somewhere on the spectrum, Mr. Johnson, it can be hard for me to understand where they're coming from. And I have to do a lot of soul searching. So that's my job here, is to help myself and to y'all figure out what their points are trying to get across to us. And how do we apply that in our own lives? Because again, it's about being a little bit better every single day. Basically translate their advice, right? When I can, and then get from you guys in the comments when I screw something up. No, they actually meant this, Keith, and that's fine. Because I'm not after perfection. I'm not after massive perfection or anything like that. I'm just after trying to be a little bit better. And how we can figure out, like I said, how we can be better. And again, when I say I'm here to be you, I know I can't walk your walk. I can't tell you what it's like to have EDS. I can't tell you what it's like to live with POTS. I can't tell you what it's like to live with numerous chronic illnesses. But I can be there with you, and we can walk together when a doctor's office or a hospital isn't being responsive to what's going on. I can be there with you when we have a heartbreak of another terrible diagnosis to help pick up the pieces so we can continue going on as a family. And I can damn well be there with you when there's a victory to celebrate it and to cry in joy. When you're crying in joy, I'll be right there with you. I promise. Now, unfortunately, we've proven on TikTok, and TikTok is like the wild, wild west. So I'm sure you guys will be much better here on YouTube. We have to have community rules. I am sorry, but we've learned this, unfortunately, the hard way. But they're pretty basic, and they're pretty easy, and there's not many of them, I promise. Number one, in the comments, please, no politics. Blue, red, purple, pink, I don't care. Just no politics. See, in the invisible family, that while politics can be important in people's lives, what's more important right now is helping each other decide how to be a little bit better, how to work together to be a little bit better. The second is just basically the golden rule. Be nice to each other, right? No name calling. No, there's no reason for any of that. We're not here for that. We're not here to play the pain Olympics and say, oh, that's what you have. I have 72 diagnoses. You only have to. There's no need for any of that. We're all sick. We're all jacked up. All of our bodies hate us. If you're an invisible person, you have a love-hate relationship with your body. So there's no need to brag because we're all in the same boat. Also, what's important is there's no treatment shaming. And that used to be really rampant. And thank God it's really slowed down. And what do I mean by treatment shaming? Well, it's pretty simple. Say that gabapentin didn't work for you. And you hear somebody come on and they say, I'm thinking about starting gabapentin. Treatment shaming would be saying, don't take gabapentin. It'll give you dementia, the first pill that you take. Or it was a waste of money and time for me. It won't help you. I'm sorry that it didn't work for you. But if it's working for somebody else, or it may work for somebody else to help them be better, why would we want to discount that? Why would we want to take away, change somebody's mind from trying something that might help them? I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but if it might help them, shouldn't we say, hey, if you want to try it, try it. And if it works, hallelujah. That would be treatment shaming. Telling people not to try something simply because of what happened to you. Share your story if it was bad or ugly. Share that story. That's important. But at the same time, what didn't work for you may work for others, and we need to keep that as an open mind. Okay? And last of all, community rule. And I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Share your experiences, good, bad, and ugly. So, what we have going so far is that over this past week, this is the first week for the network, right? It's just, I've been watching some great, these lives have been incredible. So much good stuff. So, like the main theme this week, right? The big umbrella is we're trying to prove to the world that individualized care equals better outcome for patients, right? Underneath that this week, the topic has been, I followed the plan didn't work. Sound familiar to you? Like a one-size-fits-all type of plan doesn't work. So for us, the task I was given was I was compliant. I followed the plan, and not only did it not work, I got worse. And Kevin, I think we have a video of Jamie. Can we get that up over here? And it's a quick 2-minute segment of Jamie explaining what happened to her when she was compliant and followed her plan.
I am a chronic pain patient. I've been living with chronic pain for 18 years. When I first started having symptoms, I went into pain management. I did everything that they suggested on my care plan. Instead of my pain getting better, my pain got worse and my health declined. I ended up 250 pounds, bedridden, and disabled.
That. But yeah, I mean, obviously hers was so bad it knocked us off. But you could have seen that and you could have been like, Jamie's plan was terrible, but mine was worse. Or some of us may be going, holy crap, mine didn't work out well, but it wasn't nearly that bad. But that's the beautiful thing about being invisible and being part of this family. We don't have the same lived experiences, but we can understand each other. So Jamie was compliant and then became bedridden because she was so compliant. She followed the damn plan so to a T. She ended up being bedridden. Dr. Leek said on Monday, I'm going to quote him so I don't get it wrong. Compliance does not equal healing. Boy, if it was that simple, right? Man, if it was that simple, we'd all be in a much better place, right? And both Jose and Katie brought up a good point last night. They were like, are we truly being compliant in our care plans? And the plans that we're given, are we being compliant? And I don't disagree with the suggestion of occasionally sitting ourselves down and looking at ourselves basically in the mirror and saying, am I really following this plan like I'm supposed to? And giving us a quick self-audit. I don't disagree with that at all. However, in the same breath, I'm going to say this. In my opinion, many patients in the invisible community, chronic pain, chronic illness, or mental health, We follow plans meticulously. We follow them to a T. And why? Because we've been hurting, if it's whether it's pain or illness or depression and mental health, we've been hurting inside so bad that we'll try anything. And if you tell me I have to stand on my left leg for 10 minutes every day facing the southwest, I'm going to do it if you tell me that can help. Because I want to get better. And I'm tired of physically hurting. I'm tired of fighting these flares. I'm tired of my POTS. I'm tired of the depression. I'm going to do whatever it takes. So while I don't disagree that we occasionally need to do a self-audit and ask ourselves, are we really following? Or are we not? The vast majority of my brain and my heart tells me that as an invisible person, you're going to be following that plan. If you are really in a bad spot and you desperately want to get better, I don't doubt you when you tell me that you're following your plan. And a lot of problems with these, I'm following the plan, I'm being compliant. It's because they're generic plans. And I kind of chuckled because I've lived them. I've had them handed to me as a chronic pain patient. And there's so many problems with generic plans. So many problems. Because see, when it's generic, they ignore things like our environment. How do we live? Where do we live? What's our family environment like, right? Are we married? Are we single? Do we have kids? Do we have dogs? Do I have a car payment? What's going on in my life? It doesn't give any credence to your socioeconomic background. Where are you? What's your budget like? And I don't want to call Katie out because I love Katie, and she's her Nourish and Thrive, her program is going to be so freaking rock solid, and we're all going to get a chance to learn. But I could see a case where somebody goes to a nutritionist and they're like, you need to add this supplement. It's only $75 a month. I don't understand why you're not doing it. See, that doesn't take into account that so many invisibles are living on some kind of SSI. $990 a month where you're making car payments and house payments and electric payments. It doesn't leave a whole lot left to get that $75 a month supplement, no matter how bad you want it. And again, Katie, if you're watching, I'm not trying to call you out, and I'm not trying to say nutritionists are bad. It's just an example. Please don't take it bad or anything like that. It's like it's like Dr. Leak telling me to stand on my left leg, and he knows I have a bad left leg. I can't do it, right? So please don't think I'm coming down on nutritionists in general, because I'm not. It's just an example, okay? And what also is missing out of the question when it's just generic, what's the root cause? When the doctor handed you that printout and said, you're going to go do this, did they even stop to ask you what you think the root cause was? Or did they tell you what they thought the root cause was? Or was this just like here, go try this? I swear, at times it's like, I've gone to pain doctors before where I've walked in and I've told them about my thoracic and my low back pain and the sciatic in my right leg. And they hand me a piece of paper and they're like, okay, I'm sending a script in for gabapentin. Take this to your local gym. This is your script for physical therapy. Take the gabapentin, do physical therapy for 6 weeks, come back to me, and then we'll discharge you. Well, what if I can't do the physical therapy that you're wanting me to do? What if me standing for 10 minutes is causing a problem? Did you ask that question? I swear it's like they go to Google or they go to ChatGPT sometimes, and they type in, what is the first thing the first plan for just a generic person with a bad back coming into my office? What should I tell them? And then they print it out, and then that's what they go with. Because it'll work sometimes. I've had doctors do that to me, and it didn't work. And it's so frustrating when it doesn't work. And then you add in the whole factor, another reason why I feel that generic plans are handed out is healthcare treats the symptoms. Healthcare in general in this country, I'm not saying doctors, I'm talking insurance companies and hospitals and groups like that. They treat symptoms because it's less expensive than having to take the time to delve into what may be causing the problem. And that's a problem we need to face, and we need to discuss that more. And hopefully, Dr. Leak will go into more detail. He did this past Monday. He went into pretty good detail. So if you missed it, it's up on the recording of his live is available, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. Another issue I think that causes the generic plans is the scarcity of specialists, right? I think on one of the podcasts I did with Dr. Leak, there's like 7,000 pain specialists in the country, maybe, out of the millions of chronic pain patients. How are they supposed to be able to fit us all in and give us the time? The scarcity of the specialists creates a scarcity of time, and time is what's required to develop that individualized care. And for that one, y'all, I don't have an answer. I wish I did. I think a little bit less known one would be mislabeling compliant patients. I think there are bad patients out there, and they're good patients that go in, and the first thing they say to I'm going to use a chronic pain patient because that's mainly what I am, even though I deal with mental health issues. And they'll say, hey, listen, this opioid at this rate is what is best for me. So can we just get a script, and I'll go on my way and I'll leave you alone. And I think over time, unfortunately, with some doctors, and just like Katie, I wasn't trying to dog you and all nutritionists, Dr. Leak, I'm not trying to dog you and all pain specialists, right? But I think there are some specialists that have a tendency to see a typical pain patient coming in as a med seeker. Like if they see that you've interviewed other doctors, even though you didn't get a script from those other doctors, you interviewed them, they see you as somebody coming in because you want meds. And if they see you wanting meds, they may see you as a person that's dealing with SUD. And I'm not dogging my friends that deal with SUD. They're but for the grace of God. Because I know that you guys fight not only the battle with that, but you fight the battle, especially if you deal with chronic pain. But some doctors have that bias, and that systemic bias just harms the trust. And one last thing on this, one more thing I should say. This isn't just limited to pain doctors or nutritionists or even physical therapists, y'all. It's GI specialists, neurologists, psychiatrists, right? They're scarce. They're hard to get into. I know of a lady that needed to get into a specialist up in the Northeast, and they had to wait a year to get into them. And that's just brutal. And what was even sadder for her, when she finally got to that appointment, it wasn't even the doctor, it was the PA. And I'm not dogging on PAs, but when you've built up all this expectation to finally get a hold of that one doctor that may have an idea of what's going on with you, it's soul crushing. No matter how wonderful the PA is that you thought you were going to see the doctor. So just a thought. And Katie brought up a great thing on her live last night, because, you know, I deal with chronic pain, I deal with mental health. A lot of y'all deal with chronic health issues. But Katie brought up this instance, you know, about following plans. And this is such a great example. Influencers on different social media. Say there's a health and fitness guru on Instagram, and they're showing off their fancy food containers where they're prepping meals for a week, and then they're showing off their, as Katie described it, their exercise routine. And somebody at home goes, you know what, I can do those meal preps like that. That seems feasible to me. And those exercises don't look too crazy and wacky. I can probably do that. And so they buy into it. They buy into this plan, and they do it for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. The weight loss isn't there. The physical exercises they're doing aren't really doing anything to help them. Guess what? They're feeling like we are, as chronic pain patients, people dealing with mental health, and people dealing with chronic illness. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And as Katie put it, and as Jose put it, and as Dr. Leak, they all put it different words, but they all said it so eloquently and beautiful. You didn't do a damn thing wrong. The plan was wrong. And that goes back to these generic one-size-fits-all plans. It goes back to the lack of individualized care. It's not you. And as invisible as though it's extremely tough for us to internalize that it's not our fault. Because we're told so many times by doctors, by specialists, by our family, if you've been on those pain meds for 2 years, if you're still taking them, something's wrong with you, or you're taking them for another reason. When if our spouse actually knew that if we didn't take those pain meds, that laundry would never be touched. That we wouldn't be able to bend over and pick up our daughter or our son. It's not you when that plan doesn't work out sometimes, y'all. Please, if you don't take anything else from the rest of my lives ever, don't always blame yourself. Because some of these plans are not tailored for you and they would never work for you. Please believe me when I tell you that. Again, I've lived it and I've had to overcome it, and it sucks because I want to blame myself when I fail. Please don't fall into that trap. Please don't. Don't be defeated. The plan wasn't for you. So, what do we do when we go to this new doctor for the first time and they give us this plan, this generic plan, and we get home with it, and we're like the case that happened to me when the doctor said, here's your gabapentin, go to physical therapy, and we go and we do that and we go back to the doctor and we're not any better. What do we do? How do we present ourselves? Man, that's a scary proposition, isn't it? Because I think as invisibles, whether it's mental health or whether it's chronic illness or chronic pain, we have run into so many buzzsaws. And by buzzsaws, I mean literally they cut us in half by the time we leave that office. And if we mention anything, we're terrified that buzzsaw is going to get activated and they're going to destroy us. So how do we approach things? We have to be polite, number one. I would not recommend saying, doctor, you were wrong with this plan. I wouldn't do that. Just out of kindness and politeness, I wouldn't do that, because you're going to put somebody on the defensive. And that's the last thing we want when we're trying to get better, right? We want that doctor or that nutritionist or the PT guy or our therapist or our psychologist. We want them on our side. So if we go in and go, dude, you're wrong, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Another thing I wouldn't do is when you're asking for something, don't ask whoever you're asking, doctor, your preacher, if you're looking for counseling, if you're a therapist, whoever, don't ask yes or no questions. Don't say, hey, can I get an increase? Because that's a yes or a no. And it's much easier in those situations for the response to be no. Perhaps word it, hey, what do you think about if we changed the plan and we tweaked it like this and present it in that way? Have the person you're asking the question to have to think instead of automatically respond. Again, if you have a buzzsaw, it's not going to work. None of these things I'm fixing to mention to you. If you have a buzzsaw, chances are they're not going to work. And I am sorry, but we're going to get into later episodes of Invisible how we can hopefully find better care and some of the steps we can take. So hang tight. We're getting there. It's just not tonight, okay? But we're going to get there, I promise, because that's a true passion of mine. And another thing I want to throw out there real quick, because I know I'm running late and I've talked forever, and I apologize for that, y'all, but I'm really passionate. If you walk into the exam room and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and your doctor or the PA or your therapist or whoever comes in and it seems like they're in a bad mood, if your gut feeling, your gut reading of them says, holy crap, this person's had a bad day, maybe that's not the day to stand up and say with a big smile on your face, look, this isn't a study from the NIH. It shows you were wrong. Don't do that. As much as you're going to want to, please don't try that. I'll never tell you what to do. I'm going to beg you not to do, though. I think sometimes we need to give that provider, that confidant, that person we're talking to and asking for help some grace. I think, and I know this is a tough pill to swallow. I think we need to offer them the grace we expect from them. And even if it means that next I'm going to have to go another 30 days stuck where I'm at, hurting like I am, if I don't offer that grace, I can't imagine the negative repercussions that could come from it. Not because they hate me, not because they don't like me, not because they don't care about me as a person or a patient, but they're having a bad day. Their car could have blown up on their way to work, or their wife could have gotten into a wreck. They are sidetracked by something that was detrimental. And if we come across and we're approaching it like, you didn't treat me right, or this plan isn't working, you need to, if we get demanding in that type of a situation, they're human. I would ask, please, and I'll get off my horse about this real quick. Please try to offer the same grace that we're expecting to that person that you're asking for help from. While it's going to suck for the next 30 to 60 days until we can get back in there, I honestly believe that suckiness is going to get replaced with a benefit that's so much better if we can just hold our tongue and get through. Now, obviously, if something's dramatic has changed, bring that up. I'm not saying not to do something like that. But at the same time, if you have to bring something up, do it in a way where you're doing everything you can to show grace. So one thing you can say is, let's get into some things, some ideas real quick. And again, be careful if you have a buzzsaw. If they put you on a plan and you come back after 30, 60 days and it's not working, something simple. I'm not seeing any improvement. Where were you expecting me to be right now? To find out where they think you should be. And guess what? That's not a yes or no. You are saying yes or no. This plan isn't working. Can you fix it? That's what you're saying. But you're saying it in a way that makes them actually think and have to ask probing questions of you of why the plan may not be working. Or another thing you can say would be like, hey, it seems like we're targeting the symptoms here of what's going on. When can we get past the symptoms and get to maybe figure out what the hell's going on with me? What's causing the symptoms? That's a valid question. But again, be polite. Make sure the timing's correct. Be more forthcoming. Hey, can we tailor this plan better? And better yet, in certain situations, I would take that 1 or 2 or 3 steps further. I would say, listen, I really want to try those supplements, but hey, can we tailor something? I'm on SSI. I don't have that kind of money that I can do that. I'm drinking Kroger generic coffee for the caffeine only because I've got these little munchkins I'm fighting every single morning and I need caffeine. I'm not even getting Starbucks. I'm drinking Kroger generic. There's no way I can afford those supplements. Or I'm taking care of my spouse because, they're sicker than I am, so my energy level's not right. So can we try to develop a plan that's going to take that into account? Again, you're presenting facts, you're not challenging, and you're leading to have them to have to ask you questions back instead of just saying yes or no. And one that I think is greatly overlooked is, could I get a referral to a nutritionist, a therapist, for PT to kind of address all of me? And again, I want to share a real quick story, personal story. I brought that up to my buzzsaw before I'm at where I'm at now. And I said, okay, I need a referral to a shrink. I need to go talk to somebody about my depression. And honest to God, his response was, why? I can write your script for Prozac. Here, it'll be ready when everything else is ready. And I was like, no. I need to go talk some of this stuff out. No, that's okay. This Prozac, it'll balance you out. You'll be fine. And this guy, still practicing. He's now in Fort Worth. I will not mention his name, but reach me off the air. Anyway, he actually went as far as calling my pharmacy to make sure I picked the Prozac up before he would send over any other medicines. So buzzsaws sometimes aren't going to react the way we hope they are, unfortunately. So maybe ask for small changes in your stuff, right? What little things can I change? So those are just a few things. If you have different things that you've tried to act, different ways you've asked your doctor to change plans, put them in the comments, and so we can go over them. And Kevin, if I've missed any questions, if y'all can shout them out to me, I appreciate it, because I know I've talked a whole lot, y'all. But if you've ever seen me on an Invisible No More Live, you know when my pain level is high, you cannot shut me up. So you knew what you were coming into tonight. So fair game. So.
Well, I'll ask you this, and more from a curiosity standpoint, because I've kind of seen a couple things going back and forth in the chat. What do you feel would be I don't want to say great first step, but how do we put this? Small things that can be implemented that you think would be easier to create change in the system?
Try to have a conversation with your provider.
Well, overall, say for instance, from a group standpoint, if everyone were to petition for one thing, or I guess having
I guess if we're gonna group think and do one big thing, get the DEA out of healthcare right away. The DEA is cutting opioid manufacturing again by 6 to 7%, specifically Oxy, 6 to 7%. So y'all, if you haven't run into a partial fill yet, or haven't been able to get your meds filled yet, better batten down the hatches, y'all, because it's going to happen this year. That's a dramatic cut in available pills for people to take. And so shortages are going to happen. So if we could come together and get one thing accomplished, I'm going to say it would get the DEA out of healthcare. Will be my number one thing.
And
do whatever we can do.
That's a massive move right there.
That's a massive move. Because there's so much money in politics. And I don't want to talk politics. That's rule number one, right? But there's so much money that promotes the DEA to do what they do. I'm gonna leave it at that. So, but I think on an individual basis, try to have a conversation with your doc, with your care team, with the therapist. Does your therapist know that you're married? Does your therapist know that you have 2 kids that are under the age of 5, and what goes along with that? Does your doctor know that? Does your neurologist know that you're dealing with that every single day, or that your child has a debilitating disease when they're young, and that you're trying to hold the family together? Try to have that conversation. Try to have a conversation. Try to explain what's going on in your life, so if they see a plan's not working, maybe they can see that it's some outside forces. That's not that you're not trying. It's that you don't have the ability to try 100%. So.
On another note, would you care to see the long version of that video real quick?
Yeah, if we got time, man. Yeah.
Sure do.
I've been living with chronic pain for 18 years. When I first started having symptoms, I went into pain management, and I was diagnosed with degenerative disc disease. I followed the care plan. The doctors had me doing steroid epidural injections. I did 7 in 1 year. I was doing RFA. I was doing nerve blocks. And I ended up 250 pounds, bedridden, and permanently disabled. I came out of pain management with fibromyalgia and with cataracts at age 32. After following the care plan and my health continued to decline, my primary unicorn doctor took over my pain care and helped manage my pain care in a way that I was able to have some quality of life.
That's Jamie. It's a heck of a story, man. It's I can't say her story specifically has been multiplied by 1,000 or so people that I've talked to, but stories like that where people have followed their plan and they've had terrible results. I was asked to clarify and maybe define buzzsaw. And so what do I mean by buzzsaw? Your doctor says he's God. Nothing you do, nothing you offer, no matter how hard you try, can change an opinion of what they say is wrong with you. And they exist, unfortunately. And another definition of buzzsaws will be doctors that, and I don't want to lump all doctors because they're not like this, but doctors that are financially based income, that their personal income based is what the outcome they want. I've survived and got a great parting gift of medical PTSD from my doctor. And I know of numerous other people, lots of other people, where their doctors have wanted to do certain treatment plans and based on income versus patient outcome. So a buzzsaw would be somebody, a doctor is just another way to describe it, is that may not have your personal, your better care as their main objective. And if they get questioned, they get offended, and your outcome will get even worse. So I hope that explains it a little bit better.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up,
dude. They exist. Let's say there's 7,000. Let's pick on pain specialists for a second. Sure. Say there's 7,000 pain specialists in the country.
Well, I think there's like 2,500.
Okay, 2,500.
Right.
Even worse.
Wow. Right. Exactly.
Half of those are good. Half of those are good to unicorn. Half of those are bad to I'll do what I can, right? And then out of those that I'll do what I can, man, there's so many buzzsaws. Like a quarter, I would say, are going to be buzzsaws that are in it for themselves and that have true God complexes. And it ranges. It's not just old doctors who have blinders on, and I understand that they get burnout and they just have blinders on. These are some baby doctors too that you can't question. You can't say, why are we trying this? Or what outcome are you wanting out of this? Because they'll shut you down and you get gaslit even harder. You get berated, you get yelled at. Right. You walk in terrified to see them because you're afraid to go see them. Some people have so much appointment, so much white coat anxiety that they throw up before they go to appointments because they know how that doctor is going to treat them.
Wow.
But they don't feel they have another choice, so they keep going back. And talk about medical PTSD, that makes mine look like small change, right? But they feel that they're locked in and they can't go anywhere, and so they have to keep going back.
Hence the term you always use, I hear, the unicorn. Have you found your unicorn?
I have found my unicorn, yes. Gotcha. I have found my unicorn.
That's all right.
I almost call my unicorn a unicorn's unicorn, but anyway. They're out there, but they are rare and they're not seen very often, hence the name unicorn. So, but they're there. They're worth, and if you can find them, hallelujah, man. That's one of the best things. So, any other questions? Because if not, I want to move on to victories because I haven't had victories in like a whole week. And I'm not seeing any big questions, but if I'm missing them, I apologize.
I'm scanning one for you here in just a second. And guys in the chat, if you did have a question, there's a lot of chat here. So if you could copy paste and just pull it to the bottom, that'd be even better. Just so we see it right up front.
And you guys are going to get a nice shot of the side of my head because I'm going to start trying to go through the comments here too as well. I apologize. I didn't set Kevin up for that one before we got started.
That's okay. It's okay. They love that hair right there.
It's a learning exercise for all of us in certain ways. So as my earpiece falls out. So, if not, y'all, we're going to go on to victories because I need some victories.
I like that term.
All right. I don't know how slow my computer may be running, but all right, that's it. Victories. Why do we do victories? If you're not a newbie to Invisible No More, but in case you are a newbie to Invisible No More, we celebrate victories at the very end of every Invisible No More. And why do we do it? Lots of reasons. Number one, normies don't understand how incredible it is to actually get a shower at times. They don't get it. they don't see the struggle sometimes of the energy it takes to get a shower. So when we can get a shower after a few days, that is a victory. Did you find the car keys you lost 2 days ago? That's a victory. Did you get find your unicorn doctor? That is a victory. And everything in between. And what do victories also do that we've proven time and time again? Even if you don't have a victory to share, you give people hope. Because as an invisible, we all know we go through those spells where we don't get crap for victories. And it feels like it's never going to end. And we start losing hope. But we see somebody get that shower, right? Or we see somebody get that unicorn. Or we see somebody actually able to fill their meds because the pharmacy actually had them for once. And that gives us a little bit of glimmer of hope. And that's why we do victories. So I'm going to try to read as many as I can. All right. But
I see one that's interesting.
My victory is I haven't eaten the entire supply of Storm snacks yet.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if you're here in Texas, man, give it time. But I would say be careful because Walmart's vicious right now, though.
Yeah, give it like maybe 48 hours, if that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Natasha said, I made it here tonight and have been going and giving out blankets to the homeless. Hallelujah, Natasha. Natasha, y'all, if you don't know Natasha does an outreach for the homeless in Las Vegas. I did homeless outreach in Vegas for 4.5 years, so Natasha has a true sweet spot in my heart. Congratulations and thank you for that because they are so needed. People think of Las Vegas as only being hot, and I tell you what, in the wintertime, that's not true. It gets brutally cold in the desert in the wintertime. Judy said, my victory day was just running the vacuum. Again, that is one of the examples we talk about where normies don't get it.
Yeah, small things go a long way.
Small things, man. Small things. Running a vacuum. Everybody hates it. But to us, that can be a victory. Congratulations, Judy, on that. That's awesome. Kate says, I have 30% more energy this week after starting TPN. Also ready for Teddy. And for those who don't know, Teddy is a service dog that Kate is going to go pick up very soon. And that is going to be such a major relief for her and all of her diagnoses. And I'm so happy for her. We have, also has brain power again. LZ says, my victory is I started my 5th book this month. It kills my head, but that was my New Year's resolution. LZ, you're a rock star. Thank you for following us over to YouTube. That means the world to me. Jamie says, my victory is I took the dogs for a longer walk today in nature. That's why I was late. That is a good reason for being late right there. I'll take that reason right there.
She's also following Jose's protocol of just getting out and moving.
Getting out and moving. That is it. Natasha, Jennifer says, my victory is getting a med change to extended release. And after calling 7 pharmacies, finally found some in stock. Holy crap. If you've had that shortage yet where you can't get your meds, just wait until you have to call 7 to get lucky to find them. And that is so good news for you, Jennifer. I am so excited for you. I'm so glad you're able to do that. What else do we have? Chris says, my 2 victories. I found my unicorn doctor via Dr. Mike. And I had a full day up and active. Again, normies don't get the whole thing behind up and active, right? And the unicorn doctor, that is massive. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. That is awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, right on.
Let's see. Today, Tara said, today was a day of rest without guilt. You deserve it. You've been crushing those doctor's appointments and everything else. What else do we have?
Lug Nut made dinner for the next 3 days.
There you go.
I might come over and join you for one.
I'm telling you, man, I wish I could stand in the kitchen for that long. Jamie says she's been through 3 shortages. Costco membership finally came through. Jamie's also had issues with getting a pharmacy that'll even fill her meds, which is a whole other live that we need to do sometime. These have been great victories tonight, y'all. Thank you for sharing. My victory tonight is I'm here. My victory tonight is I get to be a part of this beautiful network. Dr. Lee brainstormed it, put it together, brought great people with Jose and Katie, and then I get to come in and do my best, right? To be us, to explain our side of the story. See, Elsie says also don't put your earphones on until you make sure your vacuum is on all the way or the energy is lost. Got it. Um, cool. I want to finish with one thought tonight. And then we were like, oh, wow, we're pushing over an hour. I apologize for that, y'all. I want to give one final wrap up that to me is vitally important. And it's not something brainiac like what Katie came up with 3 things to do. I wish I was that smart. And it's not really truly self-promotion. This is a truly heartfelt thing. My wrap up tonight is what the goal, in my opinion, of what Eclipse Pain and Recovery Network is. Once again, it's doctors, it's specialists, and patients in conversation. It's starting a conversation between patients and providers so we can learn from each other and so we can hopefully have a better quality of life. I think we've been antagonists. We've been fighting each other for so long and it didn't do any good. And now we have an opportunity to ask a pain specialist a question, to ask a physical therapist, a strength coach a question. We have an opportunity to ask a dietitian a question. And no, we can't ask specific to us. Like, what therapy do you think would be best for? No, we can't do that because they're not our personal care, right? But we can ask, hey, ever heard of this drug? I've been asked about it and I don't know what it is. Or like last night, Jamie asked about a certain mushroom, right? Had no idea to put a mushroom in a smoothie or coffee. No clue, right? And we get to pick Jose's brain. Dude was a strength coach for a Major League Baseball team for how long? Decades, right? Where else do we get to do that? There's no Patreon to join. There's nothing being gate kept. There's no information kept behind a paywall. You don't have to send a check or send a Cash App or a PayPal to ask a question. Y'all, as Invisibles, for the first time, I feel we have a place we can go to have a conversation and ask questions and get answers. We may not like the answers, but we can get the answers. Where we haven't had to beg and plead and guess. That, to me, is the goal of the Eclipse Pain and Recovery Network. That is the opportunity that we have been blessed with. I have been blessed with being able to come in here on Thursday nights to bring Invisible No More here to help all of us try to be a little bit better every day. Our main thesis, again, individualized care equals better quality of life. We're going to work towards that. We are going to work towards that. I promise we are going to prove that is true. And during that process of proving it true, we are going to do everything we can to help as many people as possible get that individualized care. So on that note, I hope to see you guys back here next Thursday night, 7 o'clock Texas, 8 o'clock Eastern. Again, I want to say thank you very so much for your time and for your love and your commitment to wanting to get better. And what do I always say, y'all? Because I mean it, I really do hope that tomorrow is at least a little bit better for everybody. We'll see you guys. Peace.